I first saw the message at 11:47 p.m., glowing on her phone like a quiet betrayal. "Good night, work wife," winking-faced. My stomach turned cold. The kind of cold that doesn't come from fear but from confirmation. I'd suspected something was off, but seeing those words, casual and intimate, was the moment the truth began to bleed through the cracks. When she came out of the shower, wrapped in a towel and humming, I forced myself to stay calm. "You got a message," I said, nodding toward the phone on her nightstand. She glanced at it, saw his name, Ethan, and smiled. "Oh, it's just Ethan. From work. You know him?" "I do," I replied, my voice tighter than I wanted it to be. "He called you his work wife." Her eyes flicked up for a split second, then she laughed it off. "It's a joke, Ryan. Everyone at the office says that. Don't be so insecure." That word, insecure, hung in the air like smoke. I hated it, not because it was wrong but because it was her defense. She used it to turn suspicion into guilt, to make me question my own instincts. For weeks after that night, I told myself to let it go. I tried to trust her, to believe that not every smile or text meant something more. But the small things started adding up. She started dressing differently for work. Tighter skirts, a new perfume she'd never worn for me. She laughed at her phone more. She'd get home late and claim there were team drinks. The worst part was how natural it all seemed. She moved through those lies like she'd rehearsed them. One night I drove to her office, pretending I was picking her up for dinner. She hadn't answered my calls all evening. The parking lot was nearly empty except for one car, hers. I waited in the shadows, watching the glass doors. When she finally walked out, she wasn't alone. Ethan walked beside her, laughing, his hand brushing her arm. They paused at her car. He leaned in close, said something, and she smiled in a way she hadn't smiled at me in months. I felt my chest tighten. It wasn't just anger. It was humiliation, realization, heartbreak, all tangled together. When she got home that night, I didn't confront her. I watched her pour herself a glass of wine and sit beside me like nothing had happened. She smelled faintly of him, his cologne, his car, his world. "Rough day?" I asked quietly. She sighed. "Just long. Ethan and I had to finish a presentation. You wouldn't believe how demanding our boss is." I smiled thinly. "I saw." Her eyes flickered. "Saw what?" "You and Ethan. At the office." Silence. Then she laughed, too loud, too forced. "You're spying on me now? Ryan, this is getting ridiculous." I didn't argue. I didn't shout. I just nodded. "You're right. It is ridiculous." That night I barely slept. My mind ran circles around what I'd seen. I didn't have proof of anything physical, but I didn't need it. Emotional betrayal leaves the same scars, just deeper. 2 days later I decided to test her. I told her I'd be out of town for a client meeting. She barely reacted. Usually she'd kiss me goodbye or ask when I'd be back. This time she just said, "Have a safe trip," and turned back to her phone. I parked a few blocks away from home and waited. Hours passed. Around midnight, Ethan's car pulled up. I watched him walk to my door like he belonged there. The lights in our bedroom flicked on, then off. I can't describe what it feels like to know you've been replaced in your own home. It's not rage. It's a numbness that eats at you from the inside. In the morning I returned quietly. Her car was still there. I made coffee and waited at the kitchen table. When she came downstairs, she froze. "Ryan," she whispered, her face pale. "Good morning," I said evenly. "How was your night?" I thought you were out of town." "I was. But I came back early. You know me. Always insecure, right?" Her eyes filled with tears. "It's not what you think." I laughed softly. "Then tell me what it is. Tell me why his car was in our driveway. Tell me why my bed smelled like his cologne." She started crying. The kind of crying that sounds rehearsed, half guilt, half fear. "It just happened, Ryan. I didn't mean to hurt you. Ethan understands me in ways you don't." I felt seen again. "Seen," I repeated. "That's what this was about? Being seen." She nodded weakly, tears streaming down her face. "I still love you, but I was lost. I needed something different." I stood, walked to my desk, and pulled out a folded piece of paper. I slid it across the table toward her. "What's this?" she asked, her voice trembling. "An invoice," I said. "For everything I gave you." The rent, the vacations, the gifts, the therapy sessions you wanted, the years I spent believing you. $90,000 give or take. I call it a love bill. Her jaw dropped. That's cruel. Cruel. I met her eyes. Cruel is letting someone think they're safe while you're giving your heart to someone else. This is math. Cold, simple math. She sat there, silent, shaking. I'll send it to Ethan too, I added. Maybe he can split the payment. For a long time, neither of us spoke. The sound of the clock ticking filled the room like a countdown to the end of something that once mattered. Finally, she whispered, "Ryan, please." I made a mistake. It didn't mean anything. I looked at her, really looked at her. The woman I'd built a life with, who now felt like a stranger wearing my wife's skin. "You're right," I said quietly. "It didn't mean anything. Not to you." I left her sitting there, clutching that paper as if it were the last piece of us. Weeks passed. She tried to reach out, texts, calls, even showing up at my office. I ignored them all. Then one evening I found a letter slipped under my door. Her handwriting. "Ryan, I left Ethan. I'm lost without you. Please let's talk." I stared at it for a long time. Then I folded it and placed it in the same drawer as the love bill. Some debts can't be repaid with money. Some wounds never close. And sometimes walking away is the only act of love you have left to give.